94.3 The Dude is very grateful to our men and women in uniform. We're proud to recognize local members of our military by turning the spotlight on them right now in our Soldier Salute.
I'm your host, United States Marine Corps veteran Ethan Stitch Gardner, and on today's Soldier Salute, I have United States Army veteran, retired Staff Sergeant Jimmy Bates. Jimmy, thanks so much for being here. Thanks so much for your service. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
Ethan, thanks for having me. Young kid, born in a little small town about an hour south of D.C. in Maryland, right where the Potomac River and the Chesapeake Bay meet. Grew up on seafood all my life. Small town, couldn't do nothing today without everybody knowing about it tomorrow. And if you did it soon enough, they'd know about it that evening. Exploded now, population about tripled, so it's not home anymore. Growing up, went on a trip one time to Houston, Texas. Stepdad had to get some stuff, and we stopped at a place called Stone Mountain, Georgia, and I watched the laser show, and the fireworks went off, and I heard the song Proud to Be an American by Lee Greenwood, and the fireworks, and that day I decided I wanted to be a soldier. Made that dream come true. Joined basic training, AIT, and airborne school at Fort Benning, Georgia. Left there, went to Fort Bragg at the famous 82nd Airborne Division, and I was in the same unit for 9 years straight.
As a young kid, you and your family took a trip to Stone Mountain, Georgia for a laser show. And what happened there actually changed everything for you. It set you down a path to join the United States military. Tell me all about it.
Young kid, grew up right outside a Navy base, so I heard jet fighters. Went down there and saw the laser show. They outlined the Confederate generals, and they rode off, and then fireworks started going off, and played the song Proud to Be an American by Lee Greenwood. And it just good red-blooded stuff, and at that day I was just like, man, I want to be a soldier. I want to do something for this country. You can't listen to all that stuff and hear all that stuff and not feel some love for the country.
I kind of have a similar story. As a young kid, I had a situation similar to that made me want to join the military. Do you think a lot of good quality soldiers and Marines and sailors come out of times like that, times of childhood where we figure out this is what I want to do, this is who I want to be?
Either that, or like a lot of them, it's the whole doing the same thing their family members did. I was the only second one in my family. My uncle joined the Army for a short time. The Army was my calling in life. It was what I was put on this earth to do. I enjoyed it. I jumping out of planes, shooting guns, blowing stuff up. I fired a mortar was my job, so it doesn't do much on the outside, but gives you a whole lot of pride on the inside.
I've had a lot of airborne guys in the studio with me, but I don't think I've ever had somebody from the illustrious and famous 82nd Airborne Division. You served there for 9 years. Tell me all about the unit.
Well, the 82nd had a lot of great soldiers. There's I believe it's 5 Medal of Honor recipients from the 82nd. They've been around since World War I. They did all 4 combat jumps in World War II, Normandy, Lerno. Anyways, the best part about that is All-American Week when the older soldiers come back. I remember as a young private, a guy came up and said, how many jumps do you have? And I had like 12 or 15 at the time. He said, wow, that's cool. I've got 5 and 1 was practice, which meant he had all 4 combat jumps. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm not worthy.
So the 82nd Airborne, the history and the camaraderie from that unit carries over even into the older generation?
Oh my goodness. If you get a chance, Google the song Blood on the Risers. It's a bunch of old guys talking about it. It's about a guy that jumps out and doesn't make it. It's kind of a joking song, but the old guys singing it is what makes it so cool. You stand around watching that stuff, and there's always a lot of alcohol and beer involved, and you get a whole lot braver, because I can't sing for anything, but you get a couple drinks in me, and suddenly I become the best singer in the world. Yeah. To me.
Lady Gaga all of a sudden. Jimmy, many service members come from harder childhoods, harder lives. They use the military to kind of escape those hardships. You have a similar story, and I love hearing about it. I love hearing when soldiers join the military and they can say, the military saved me.
Well, as any other teenage young man, I knew everything and couldn't tell me nothing, and had to got myself a little bit of trouble. Got all that cleared up. It had something to do with a girl, of course. Got it all cleared up, and I decided that I needed to join the Army just to give me some purpose. And it was exactly what I needed, direction and purpose, and it was my saving grace. My family tells me that the Army is what saved me, and I can honestly say that if it wasn't for me joining the Army, the road I was going, I'd probably either be in jail or dead, or worse. Everything happens for a reason. I look back on it, and it made me the person I am today.
Did you hear similar stories from your brothers in the unit?
Oh, absolutely. And every time you think it's worse, or you think it's bad, somebody's got it a whole lot worse. You hear people talk. One guy, he was a foster kid, bounced around a foster home to foster home, abuse and stuff, and suddenly my little story wasn't near as bad as his.
Jimmy, thanks so much for being here. Thanks for your service. You're the recipient of the Army Achievement Medal. You're getting off shift here in Kosovo. Kosovo was a dark place, for a little while there. You're about to go rack out, get some sleep. Somebody comes around the corner asking for volunteers.
I just got off shift, was getting ready to go jump in the bunk, and an older fella, had a pretty good bit of age on him, was coming there hollering and couldn't understand it. Got the interpreter and said there was people in his house. There was a lot of ethnic hate there. There was a lot of hate between the different religions, and it was oil and water. And he said there were some people in his house beating his wife and his child, his daughter, which she was an adult, she was probably 20s or so. We all grabbed a group of us and went down there, and we got close, and they had a little guy out front watching. They took off and pretty much have to fire a warning shot there, so I torched around in the air. We split up. There's 5 of us. 4 of them went after the guys there, and I looked at the house. The older lady up top, you could tell her arm was broke from the distance. She was in bad shape, and she was waving me up there. I turn around, there's nobody with me, so trying to go in this house and clear the house, and she points to the door. I kick the door in, and there's a guy that was there and the daughter. I get in between them, get her out of the room, and get him subdued, get him flex cuffed, and bring him back to the headquarters, to the patrol base. He was actually put in the judicial system there, and he was one of the first to actually stay there and actually be charged with something. And he ended up, from what I understand, he actually got a pretty good bit of time for that. If it wasn't for us being there, that would have been just a thing that happened. She'd have had this the rest of her life to deal with, and probably have to see this guy every day because they didn't care. There was no law. Right after the air war stopped and they came back in, the country was still starting to get rebuilt. The stories of the hate are just unfathomable.
I'm sure you had a lot of anger, a lot of rage for that guy.
Oh, man, it was unfathomable. It was just, you see that happening and you think, oh, that could be my sister, my mom, my daughter, and just, there was no law there. We were the police. We got thrown into a job to policing during the day, and at night we're fighting people that don't want to give up the war. They think the war should still go on. Just a whole dark situation.
Your first deployment to Afghanistan, you were there for about a month. You weren't feeling real well. Command realized it, and they sent you to Germany. The doctors told you something that was going to change the rest of your life.
Yeah, it was a hard pill to swallow. I was in the 82nd Airborne Division, great shape. I'm sitting in the doctor's office, and he tells me, I've got a brain tumor. That will take the wind out of your sails. The road I had to go through to get there, first left Afghanistan, went to Germany, got my MRI, told me about it. They sent me to Walter Reed, and they did the first biopsy trying to get a piece of it. They missed the tumor. Went to Chapel Hill for the second biopsy. They got the tumor, and it was there's no such thing as a good brain tumor, but I probably had the best one you'd want to have, called a germinoma. 3 months of chemo and a month of radiation later, I beat brain cancer. Everything happens for a reason, and you wouldn't think anything good from brain cancer would come out. But on March 11th, 2013, I went to the VA hospital here in Columbia, South Carolina. I had a follow-up MRI, and I met Jane Gramling. She goes by Libby, and she is now my wife. I was given brain cancer to meet her because I went for a follow-up MRI, and she was my MRI tech. And that's when everything fell into place.
Everything does happen for a reason. That's a beautiful, beautiful story. Did the Army take good care of you when they found out that you had this tumor?
You hear all the bad stories about the Army throwing you out and not taking care of you. My battalion commander at the time, Mike Lorario, and then after him was Bruce Parker, 2 of the most stand-up guys I ever worked for. They would not let the Army put me out. They would not let me get medically retired until all my treatments were done. I was pretty much on the rolls but didn't have to come to work. I was very well taken care of. I can't thank those 2 men enough, Mike Lorario and Bruce Parker. Thank you for everything you did for me and didn't have to do for me.
Jimmy, you are the founder of the Warriors for the Outdoors. You got your 501c3 in July. Tell me all about the organization. It sounds like you just are another awesome vet out here that just wants to help out other vets that are struggling no matter what the issue is.
Yeah, my saving grace, I enjoy hunting and fishing, just getting out there and relaxing and the quiet and the camaraderie. And the outdoors is just a wonderful thing no matter what you're doing there. The hunting and fishing is what helps me get through everything. I got a pontoon boat that the wife and I purchased, and I use that for the fishing. And also, we've been blessed to buy 65 acres out in Kershaw, and I can hog hunt, deer hunt, turkey hunt, and it's my little getaway and camp out there if we want to. And I know what it means to me. I like sharing that stuff, and I want people to come out that want to enjoy that kind of thing. Veterans that want to enjoy that kind of thing, have a little camaraderie, sit around a campfire and talk and do a little hunting and a little fellowshipping. It's helped me out, and I know it helps others because I have helped others. It's all brand new, and I haven't been able to do much of it yet, but I've got a Facebook page, Warriors for the Outdoors. Got a website, warriorsfortheoutdoors.org. Look it up, follow it, help it out.
Something that you've talked to me a lot about, your thoughts that there's too much hate in this world. People hate each other too much. You had brain cancer, taught you that we just can't live like this. You want to talk to me a little bit about that?
I wouldn't wish anything bad on anybody, but I wish some people could get the breakthrough I did, because you get told you got brain cancer, little things don't bother you anymore. In the world today, you see so much hate. Different countries just hate people just because they are the way they are. And nowadays, even in this country, the fellow countrymen just hate each other just because they have a different ideology or a different thought, or they like somebody that you don't. And then it becomes a hate instead of, just deal with it. You got your thoughts, I've got mine. And I'm not saying that would want anybody to get sick, but me getting this brain cancer and beating it, you look at stuff so much differently. Little things don't bother you anymore. Somebody cut you off in traffic, just let them go, because you can't fix the way they are. They're going to be the way they are, but you can fix you, and maybe you can do something to make it better. But if you've got hate in you, hate spreads hate. Somebody come in the room that's got a pretty good vibe, and they could just be a hateful person. It can just change the whole tide of the room or the whole tide of an area. The things going on in this world nowadays, I just hope that somehow or another we can make a turn and turn the stuff around like the country we used to be. Maybe with hearts and love and peace. I just like to think there could be a whole lot less hate. How we're going to do it? I don't know, one person at a time.
Thanks for joining us in our Soldier Salute, presented by Little Pigs Barbecue, serving Columbia since 1963 with that bodacious buffet. And Palmetto State Armory, American made for life. And Franklin Equipment, rent, buy, rely. And Atkins Law Firm Workers' Comp Attorneys, who you hire matters.